Tennessee picks up a commitment. Let's go ahead and begin with that. I'm not saying it's orchestrated after an Alabama loss, but I've been around long enough to know that picking up a commitment the week after a very disappointing loss is a good way to temper fan frustration. So you have Tennessee that does indeed pick up a commitment. We're talking about running back Justin Baker. Read about him more on Caleb Giroux. Recruiting coverage today brought to you by Andy Mason of andymasonrealestate.com. A commitment for the 2025 class, this time coming from an offensive player. Buford High School running back Justin Baker ranks as about the 372 prospect nationally in the 2025 class, the number 35 running back by 247 Sports Composite, number 42 prospect from Georgia. 2 visits to Tennessee last month, so this is hardly a surprise. Giroux's been all over recruiting, so be on offthehooksports.com for the latest. 5'10", 195 pounds, had 20 scholarship offers. Primarily the Vols beat South Carolina, Michigan, and Alabama. So let me hear you on the message board. How excited are you about this pickup? And Caleb, let me begin with you. I think that anytime you can get a good player, I don't know that he's an elite player, but anytime you can get a good player out of the state of Georgia, you have probably helped yourself. And I remind you, he will help you. AndyMasonRealEstate.com. Best prices, best service in the biz. AndyMasonRealEstate.com. He's my realtor. He should be yours. Hit the like and subscribe button. So, Caleb, I think dipping into Georgia, even though it's Buford, not the Atlanta area, is always big for the Vols. Your thoughts, and let's hear about you on the message board. Let's go. What do you think, Caleb?
Yeah, I think it's big. And again, who offers, I've talked about this all the time, who offers matters. So as you just brought up, yes, South Carolina offered, but Michigan and Alabama both offered. And by the way, Michigan is a place, if you're a running back, you want to go to because they give their running back lots of carries. I mean, just look at what they're doing with Blake Corum right now. And Alabama going there speaks for itself. They've produced 2 Heisman winners at running back since Nick Saban's been head coach, and Mark Ingram and Derrick Henry. So just the fact that Tennessee beat out those schools for Justin Baker is a big deal. Now he's a 4-star on Rivals and a 3-star on 247 Sports Composite and 247 Sports. However, for those who don't know, this is a 2025 recruiting class. Dave, you know this. Recruiting ratings for players that far out are always lower than they're going to end up. Typically, players, you have to show a lot more before you increase your star ratings. I think they re-rate, what is it, like once in the summer and once in December? Isn't it?
Yeah, and just sometimes when they feel like it, if one of their websites is one of the strongest in their network too. So where do the Vols stand in 2025? I know they're 11 in the 2024 class, but where do the Vols stand in 2025? What do they got rolling right now?
Yeah, they're number 15 in 2025, but again, they have 3 commitments. I don't really look at rankings 2 years out until after the signing day from the. Really, you can't pay attention to rankings until the April before. So if you're looking at a 2025 class, you shouldn't start paying attention to rankings until April of 2024, if we're being honest.
I agree with that, but who are the other cats in that class that we're talking about?
The other ones are 2 cornerbacks, which, as we know, Tennessee needs a lot of help there. One is Shamar Arnaud, also from Georgia, Josh Dobbs High School, Josh Dobbs hometown, Alpharetta, and actually 2 players from Alpharetta. Dylan Lewis, the other one. Those are both Milton High School cornerbacks out of Alpharetta, Georgia, who have both committed to Tennessee. And then obviously Justin Baker out of Buford. So Alpharetta is the Atlanta area, but it's not in Atlanta, as we know. And so we see where Josh Heupel is targeting right now. He's trying to build depth at cornerback, and he's also trying to make sure he's got a collection of running backs. As we know, Peyton Lewis committed to Tennessee's 2024 class. Dylan Sampson will be on the roster at least through 2024, and I think this team loves to have 3 running backs at any given point.
So Travis says we have 3 elite running backs right now. I think they have 3 very good running backs and possibly 1 elite running back in Dylan Sampson. Those are my thoughts. That's how I would look at this group of running backs right now. I think they're all very good. one might be elite. How would you describe the 3 running backs that Tennessee has now?
I would say I'd say 2 are elite and 1 is solid. 2 are elite talent-wise. I think Dylan Sampson is an elite all-purpose back. We just haven't seen much of it this year. But I think he's an elite all-purpose back. And I think Jalen Wright is just an elite running back, period. Jalen Wright's a guy that, look, dare I say, he's a guy that the way he's playing, you could trust to be a Saquon Barkley type in the NFL if he keeps this up.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and change what I said. I think they have 2 elite running backs, and you might not see it for Dylan Sampson for a while, but I think as far as the more versatile scat back type, he'll be that. And I saw Jalen Wright a little bit short, so I'll say 2 elite running backs, 1 very good. But when I say elite, I'm talking about the Jamal Lewis's of the world, those type of guys. I'm gonna say Alvin Kamara is even in that group. Not as good as Jamal, but a guy that goes on to the NFL and is a superstar immediately. My question is, if you're a running back, do you look at this offense and you think, well, maybe sort of I want to be a part of this thing, but they throw the ball around the lot quite a bit. Is Tennessee going to be able to go in and grab the number 1 tailback in the nation? That guy's probably going to go to Alabama now that they're back in a ball control type of look. What do you think?
I don't think so. I think you still might have a chance. Also, largely because I think you have a chance to really pad your stats as a running back in Heupel's offense. He runs the ball a lot. We've talked about this. Heupel's ideal format is if he runs the ball twice every 3 times. For every 3 plays, he wants 2 running plays and 1 passing play. You're going to get a lot of carries. The way they spread the field, you're going to have a lot of holes on a vertical attack to pad your stats. And so I actually think this actually helps you going to Tennessee. The only reason you might be held back is if given how Josh Heupel likes to use 3 running backs at any given moment. But I got to be honest, if they keep building the way they're building, think about this, Dave, in the 90s. Yes, Tennessee got Jamal Lewis, but remember, Steve Spurrier was known to throw it all over the field. But he still went and got Fred Taylor because it was sold to guys like Fred Taylor and then Ernest Graham. By the way, the year Tennessee beat Florida in the Swamp that forced Spurrier to resign, I'm not so sure Tennessee wins that game if Ernest Graham is playing. He was hurt 2 weeks before. He always had an elite running back, and he always sold the idea, I throw it around all over the field. But look at how much I get my running backs involved and how much they make plays. Josh Heupel can sell the same thing to recruits right now.
Very true. The top tailbacks right now are going to other school. Let's look at the 24 class. I know he's a 25 guy, but Taylor Tatum, number 1, is going to Oklahoma. Jarrett Gibson, who Tennessee was in on out of IMG Academy, is going to Texas. Kedron Young is going to Notre Dame. James Peebles is going to Ohio State. Kevin Riley is going to Miami. So maybe these tailbacks, because of all the offenses I just mentioned, are at least somewhat spread. And really every offense is. Maybe they don't look at that as much, because back in the 90s, if you're Jamal Lewis, you look at, let's say, a Florida, and you say they're not going to run the ball as much. I'm not going to be a featured back. You look at Tennessee and you realize you may have some competition, but you're going to be a feature back, have more tread on your tires, which I know was something Nick Saban sold later in his program. So maybe they can. Maybe they can pick up an elite back. I think the perfect back for the system is, now we all know that Jamal Lewis, if you want to take Charlie Garner, if you want to take Chuck Webb, are like a different level in my mind. Okay. So I'm not besmirching them, but as far as a realistic type of get in recent memory, Alvin Kamara, I think that is a guy who can run between the tackles, and they do that, in my opinion, a little bit too much. They should get out a little bit wide, run some sweeps, do some things like that, but they don't. And he would be able to bring that to them. I think Dylan Sampson is kind of a mini-me in that regard. But when I look at tailbacks over the past 20 or so years, Alvin Kamara would be the one. If I could duplicate and put him in this system, that would be the guy that I would go to. You?
Yeah, Alvin Kamara is the dream tailback for this offense. Like the dream tailback. But again,
I love it when you agree with me sometimes, and I can hear a little bit of surprise in your voice.
Well, okay. Alvin Kamara, and Dave, you know this. there's a difference in all-purpose backs. There's an Alvin Kamara and there's a Reggie Bush. No disrespect to Reggie Bush. I think Reggie Bush really maximized what he can do given how small he was. But Reggie Bush could never be a feature tailback in any offense. He could not take the beating that he would need to. I mean, even USC, Lindale White was the feature back. Reggie Bush just got all the yards, remember? During that time.
Definitely.
And yeah, so Alvin Kamara, it has to be more like Alvin Kamara where they can, because Alvin Kamara can take punishment. He takes punishment a lot if you watch him play. And you do have to take punishment as a back in Josh Heupel's system because it's not like the type of all-purpose back that you catch the ball in the flat and you make plays in open space. No, you're going to get handoffs up the middle and you have to make vertical plays, meaning you're going to get hit a lot by linebackers as a running back in this system. You're going to get tackled a lot. There's not a lot of Emmitt Smith going out of bounds before you get hit, which he did a lot.
He did not do that.
He did. He
no,
did.
He absolutely did not. I'm not going to argue that with you. Emmitt Smith's greatest ability. Everybody had a special move. That every special tailback had a special move. Emmitt Smith's ability was getting every single inch out of every single run, which meant good body lane. And no, he only went out of bounds when there was no way to pick up additional yards, but that's okay. Robert, I haven't seen you in a while. He says Hype sets up past fireworks with the run. Completely agree with that. I think I'm onto something with Kamara, as I think he would be fantastic. Orange Blood saying I think we run up the middle a lot because we spread the field so much, more open space in the middle. But I like the idea of jet sweeps and quarterback bootlegs and options. And I'm going to add in there, he didn't say this, but a toss sweep every once in a while. No, I get the point of what they're trying to do and spread the field and open up gaps in the middle. I get that, Caleb, and that's what they're going to do most of the time. I will just say, as inventive as I think that Josh Heupel's offense has been in the passing game, they could do a little bit more in terms of the running game, whether it's jet sweeps to D. Williams, which Jimmy Himes continues to bring up each and every Wednesday, or it's a little more toss sweeps, and really what they're doing now with the screen game are extended runs, so you can count that as well. But I think they could be more inventive in the pass in the run, and you're gonna. It's very rare you're gonna find me criticize Josh Heupel's offense as an approach, as a philosophy, but I believe they could do more of that.
Yeah, I'm sure they could do some more of that too. But I think that Josh Heupel's offense, most of the runs are very much specifically designed, so it's not turn the player loose and let him do something. It's the runs are designed to let the passing game play freely. That's just how the offense works.
Look at my guy, Travis, mentioning Arian Foster's first move was the goal line fumble. The only player that has called me on the radio and challenged me to a fight was Arian Foster. So I passed because I didn't think that was going to be a good idea for Dave. And then I remember I wrote how he actually didn't fumble that much considering the amount of times he touched the ball. They just seemed to be at key situations. And the headline, which, Caleb writes a lot of my headlines because he's better at it. I'm bad at writing headlines. In newspaper biz, you don't write your own headlines. And on the headline up top, Caleb, so it doesn't matter what the rest of it reads like. You know how this is going to look. Said fumbling Foster. And it doesn't matter what else you write. It doesn't matter what else you write, which was actually defending him because percentage-wise, he didn't fumble that often compared to how much he touched the ball. But he remembered fumbling Foster.
Yeah, no, I know that feeling. I used to, when I was a local reporter, I've had plenty of fights with night editors over headlines that made me so mad in the past. So that's a rough one.